He says, it's okay. All right, I'm in a good mood today. I'm putting you kids down as live ones. Only to start off with, though. All right, let me get you written down the right column for the boss, peoples. Now where do you go? Ah, done. Standing right there between Waldo and the missing link. All righty. Where are you kids all in from here?
Houston.
Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, we got troublemakers on the bus then. How many people from Texas? Let's see a show of hands out there. Holy smokes, we were watching the wrong border the whole time. All right. I thought you guys were going to secede from the Union. What's taking so long?
We're not fine.
Yeah, well, don't close the borders till I get there. All right, you guys Longhorn fans, Aggies fans? Yeah. All right. I'm trying to get them fighting, so they leave me alone on this tour. All right. Are y'all first timers out here?
Yes.
You're not going to know if I'm lying to you or not, will you?
That's right.
We're going to get along.
I know.
All right. I got a brother up there in Pottsboro, Texas. Now, he used to be down there at the other end of Texas, Brownsville, before they ran him off. He's a professor down there. All right. So, I want to welcome everybody aboard movie star Kevin Costner's original Deadwood tour. You can tell by the fine accommodations plus seating centralized air. Movie star Kevin Costner spared no expense. Yeah, no, this is it. They're going to have to work it out with the office because you guys have our tour. It's not part of your group?
I'm done.
All right, you got a good heart, Larry. You're going to die young.
I was just trying to help out, man.
Did,
She needs a refund.
yeah, unless you want her to put with your group, but she might infect them.
I don't know how many she has. She's not going to. Just go.
All right, got it. All right, now, we've got a graveyard to go visit. Your job today is simple. All you need to do is sit back, relax, and as long as your seatbelts are fastened back there, you're going to be okay with me. All right. By the way, there's one thing you need to, three things you need to know before you get rolling. Deadwood, we're famous for three things: gold, gambling, and gunslingers. Now, we're going up to a cemetery today. Did Larry tell you why?
No.
To visit the last guy who crossed him in this town. His name was Wild Bill Hickok. There is his picture right there. A legend of the West, most famous Western gunslinger of all time, died here in the town of Deadwood. If you don't know who Wild Bill is, that's the guy who set off the whole cowboy era. The very first account of a gunfight on a dusty street of an old western town was about Wild Bill, happened out in Springfield, Missouri. So guys like John Wayne, Tom Mix, Guy Madison wouldn't be as famous as they are today if it weren't for Wild Bill. And you guys know, if it weren't for old Wild Bill, old bus driver Dave here wouldn't have a job today either. All right, there's another famous person you'll see today, Calamity Jane. Her picture's right there. But I said there's three things you need to know: gold, gambling, and gunslingers. Wild Bill the gunslinger, but it's gold that made our town famous. We're going to talk about that as we go. The other thing we're famous for is gambling, but you guys, did you just get to town? You'll figure it out. When I let you off after the tour, poke your nose into any bill, and that's what's going on in Deadwood. Wild Bill the gunslinger came to Deadwood looking for gold, got killed while gambling. That's how the story's going to bring itself together. All right. You guys know that you are on Indian land right now. Did you know that? You're on Indian land right now, but not according to our federal government. This is according to the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868. All this land surrounding us here. Wave goodbye to Larry. You may never see him again. All right. Yeah, according to the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868, all the land surrounding us here still belongs to the Great Sioux Nation. Big piece of real estate. It stretches from the middle of South Dakota. The Missouri River goes to the Bighorns in Wyoming, covers half the state of Nebraska. 209,000 square miles of land in all. How big a piece of real estate is 209,000 square miles? Put it in Europe, it's the second largest country over there, bigger than the country of Spain. And if it was a state here in the Union, it ranked third in size, right behind you Texans. Now we're talking about a big piece of land, right? In layman's terms, the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868 states that as long as the rivers flow, the grasses grow, and the winds blow, no white man shall set foot upon these lands. Keep your eyes open here today. You're not going to see a white man in sight out there, are you? Did you know that's actually from Article 1 of the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868? What happened? That's the story of gold. In 1874, rumors of gold filtered into Washington, D.C. Illegal prospectors were on the grounds for taking gold from the streams. Government wants to get to the bottom of it. They do a geological survey of the land. In fact, they use Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer to come down out of Fort Abraham, Lincoln, North Dakota to do a survey and get out. August 17th, 1874, a place called French Creek, Dakota Territory, today where the city of Custer is situated. They find gold, setting off a gold rush, established in our town 2 years later. 1876, the year following, 1877, U.S. government eyeballs the mineral prospects here. And the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868 that gives all this land to the native tribes mysteriously disappears from the U.S. Congress. Convenient or coincidence? It's called the Act of 1877. They're going to ignore the treaty. Prospectors crowd the hills. Hundreds of little mining encampments pop up throughout. Most of these camps die off over time, but Deadwood will survive. And what did our town look like back in the day? Look out your windows now. Did you notice the hitching post coming up here on your left for the horses? When you get to town, you got to park your transportation somewhere, don't you? Now they park it on those benches. On your right, the wooden facade, the red wagon wheel stuck in the window. They call this Saloon Number 10, only bar in the world that touts itself as also being a museum. Come by and check it out. Why? Because if you walk through that door right there, between those two red wagons, the wheels back there, walk inside as you go in, look above your head behind you. You will see one of the 6 chairs Wild Bill was actually shot and killed in. Yeah, you know, just like the other 5 we have here in town. It's what we call a tourist mecca. Out your left window, more wagon wheels. And did you notice on the patio there, those 2 stools? You see those back there? Look at that. One for Republicans and one for Democrats. All right, let's don the cowboy hat, saddle up the horses, and get back in time. It's 1876. You just got to Deadwood. The streets are lined with a ramshackle assortment of wooden structures lining a dirt pathway running through our town. Plus, of course, it rained. Would have been a mud pathway running through our town. Can you believe this? We had 54 saloons, 33 brothels on this one dirt strip alone back in the day. Could you folks have handled a town like that? You know, when it was actually fun to be in Deadwood. Woohoo! Party bus! Away! Fiesta Day! Ooh, tough group back there. Where are you guys from? Houston? Fire in 1879 burned the whole town down. Flood in 1883 swept it all away again. So you see, none of the original buildings that once populated Deadwood are here anymore. They're gone. But there are old buildings like this one here on your right. The Bullock Hotel, built in 1895 by our first town sheriff, Seth Bullock. A guy out of Ontario, Canada. Picture in the window there, a little white piece of paper. Very instrumental fellow in the history making of the West. You guys know Seth Bullock, our first town sheriff, is the guy who put forward the legislation that got Yellowstone National Park to become a national park. How's that? Came out here, became our first forest supervisor for the Black Hills Reserve, first Indian Streets Commissioner, first town sheriff, becomes a U.S. Marshal, and personal friends with Teddy Roosevelt, President of the United States. Built the place on your right there. Have you guys seen that syndicated television show, Unsolved Mysteries? This building on your right was featured on that show, Unsolved Mysteries, because the ghost of Seth Bullock is still in there today. And you know, kids, they wouldn't have put this on TV unless this was true. He's in there. Second floor, roams around, turning on lights, opening and closing doors and windows, moving objects and items around, even leaving that toilet seat up. It's happened to you, hasn't it? Boy, this guy gets around. I want you to swing on by, check this stuff out, see if it's true or not. On your meanderings about the town, you make it down this far, check out the building right next door, the Celebrity Hotel. It's like a museum to the movies. Inside, you'll see movie props, paraphernalia from films like Sleepless in Seattle, Seabiscuit, Pirates of the Caribbean, Hook, the Titanic. See Elvis's sequined outfit right there in the window, and Marcus got a black book here in the window. Free! That's why I mentioned it. Something that's not going to cost you something. Come find and check it out. Back to history, out your left window. See the open door on your left? The blue-green doors. Check out the handles on the door. This one's pretty neat. Look above the door. In big bold letters so you never forget it. This is the original location of, and there's that name again, Saloon Number 10. This is where Wild Bill, the legend of the West, the most famous Western gunslinger of all time, was actually shot and killed during the August 2nd, 1876 poker game. This is where the events would all unfold, and this is what would put our town on the map. Wild Bill, killed by a villain named Jack McCall, happened about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on that fateful day. You see this McCall guy goes in there. He shoots Wild Bill. McCall comes running out. He jumps on a horse. The cinch strap wasn't tightened. Saddle and everything go tumbling to the ground. He jumps up out of the dust. He runs down the middle of the street. And in broad daylight, as wide awake as this town was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they lost the guy. Running 2 blocks up the street. What was going on there? Well, obviously, it was tourist season. That's right, those Aggies fans were back in town. And 4 o'clock in the afternoon is happy hour. You start mixing all that up, you're never going to find the guy, are you? I don't know what was going on there, but I know this. It took them 6 hours to track the guy down. They find him hiding about where he got on the bus back there across the street. There's a sign that said so. They put McCall under arrest, brought him down here to the Bella Union Theater set next door here. Guess where they locked the character up at? In their outhouse. No jails had been built yet, so they used the outhouse, locked him up in there. Now, what kind of crappy accommodations were those, huh? Fellas, I need your attention. Guys, take a look upstairs here on your left. See the ladies in the windows up there? All right, fellas. Do any of those faces up there look familiar to you from last night? We are now in the Badlands of Deadwood. This is the red light district, Sin City, land of the soiled dogs. These were dens of iniquity for prostitution, gambling, drugs, girls lured into white slavery, with names like the Medallion, the Greenfront, the Gem Theater, just to name a few of them. Has anybody on the bus here seen the HBO series Deadwood? You guys can't afford cable in retirement? What's going on here? Boy, it is not looking good for bus driver Dave right now, is it? Al Swearingen, the villain in the series, ran the Gem Theater here on your right. Same fella, same place. More gals in the windows here on your left. Now, locals referred to these places in a much more colorful and collective sense, calling them houses of horizontal pleasures. We had 80 men to 16 women in our town at the time. 11 out of every 16 women here were prostitutes. Only 5 were married, and that's a gold rush town for you. Now, I was coming down the street here. I told you what. Deadwood suffered fires and floods in the early days. We had one disaster, followed by another. The third was here. The fourth was on the horizon, approaching. The greatest disaster to ever hit this town happened behind the Greenfront building here on your left. Now, this is a sad story. One you need to know. You see, this was the site of our longest-running brothel. It was closed down in 1980 by the IRS for tax evasion. What? They can't come up with a better reason. After 104 years worth of dedicated service, they got shut down for non-payment of bills. Don't that beat all? A fixture here in town called Pam's Purple Door. Townspeople didn't want it shut down. The chief of police even said, "It should stay open, then I'll know where my men are at night." But it was the IRS that moved in there and put all the items inside up for auction to pay the bills. The townspeople came out and started buying, purchasing the doorknobs right off the building itself for $100 a piece just to hold on to a piece of history. A set of drapes sold for $1,000. Chest of drawers, $5,000. Someone bought a brass bed from the place, paid $15 grand for that thing. Oh yeah, evidently had established some pretty fond memories in that one. But really, $15,000 for a high mileage bed? At the end of the tour, ask Larry how that bed's holding up for him these days. Last, the Bordellos, they all go silent. And our hunting season disappeared overnight. Hope you caught the connection between the last two. So this is the town Wild Bill comes to make famous before it's all said and done. Let's head to the end of Main Street here. We'll get his story started off. Remember his picture's on the bus up front here above our heads. Wild Bill Hickok's real name, by the way, was James Butler Hickok. He was born in Troy Grove, Illinois, 90 miles outside of Chicago. Born May 27th, 1837, 184 years ago. His father was a Presbyterian deacon of all things. Don't think he would like his son, Wild Bill, in a town like ours, especially in that neighborhood we just came from. His father's name was William. James there looked a lot like his dad. They'd been referring to him by that nickname, Young Bill, ever since he was small. Won't get famous for the more notable moniker Wild Bill till later in life after the newspapers get a hold of it. All right, the Home Shopping Network spree begins. Ladies, are you looking for a new chair for the kitchen table? The one here on your left seats 4. Get rid of 3 others in the house. And look at this, always a man be sitting next to you. All right. I talked to JC. He said if you want to buy 2 of these bucking bulls here on your left, he'll fold them up and put them into the understorage compartments for you. This guy who does the chainsaw art down here, pretty talented guy. Come down and check him out if you got a little bit of time. Just don't take him for a ride after the dark. All right, Wild Bill shows a proficiency for the gun from a young age. 14 years old, already a professional marksman. Honing those skills during the Civil War, he served the Northern Army in the war between the states. War was over, he teamed up as a guide with General Sherman. You guys remember your Civil War history stuff from high school? You guys been out of school for what, a month and a half, 2 months, something like that? You guys remember Sherman's March to the Sea, the burning of Atlanta? Not what was going on the last 2 years, but from the history books. James served under Sherman and goes on to become a scout and a close and personal friend of the guy who would discover gold out here in the first place, George Armstrong Custer. Talking about Wild Bill, look out your right window. There's the man himself sitting in his chair. Wild Bill sits there day and night, rain or shine. He kind of keeps silent vigil over this little town. Year after year, day after day. Just sitting there kind of watching out for Elvis. You know that guy who did that Crazy Horse Monument? Yeah, his daughter did that statue back there.
Really?
Yep, up behind Wild Bill. That's a mountain. To the top of that mountain is where we're heading. That's where Mount Moriah Cemetery is located, the final resting place of the legendary Wild Bill. Wild Bill was a rather tall fella. Look at his picture up front here, over 6 feet tall, long flowing dark blonde hair, handlebar mustache, pretty good looking guy. Looks a little like Kevin Costner. Might be the next movie role. You guys know that I get royalties every time I say Kevin's name, right? Just so you know. His guns are Navy Colts. They're silver-plated and engraved. He carried his guns in a sash round about his waist, high up on the hips, handles facing forward. Wild Bill didn't carry his guns down there in a holster like you'd think a cowboy or gunslinger of the Old West might. Looking at the picture, look closely, you'll see his guns on his person tucked up almost underneath his armpits. Very different than you'd have first suspected, very unique as well. Back to his story later. The town of Deadwood got started in January 1876. 3 wagons, 26 people. They called it the Williams-Bryant Party. John J. Williams, Frank Bryant, scouted the area out in November 1875, arriving in January the following year. When they got here, they were greeted with dead trees, limbs, and branches from fires and floods. They had ravaged the area throughout many eons past. This is where we'll get the name we're stuck with today. When they get here, look at it, they call it like it is, Deadwood Gulch Day 1. Planning the area out, they discovered gold, and it will turn out to be the largest placer mining discovery of gold in the world. Placer mining is when you take gold out of a stream. Take gold out of a mountain, that's hard rock mining, something different. Where the gold got out by June 1876. After starting off with 3 wagons and 26 people in January, fewer people than are on the bus here today, by June 1876, 10,000 people have gathered into the gulch. By August, the population has doubled. Have you guys been up to see Crazy Horse yet? Well, I haven't, and that's where I'm going right now. Zach Jokowski, the guy who did Crazy Horse, also did the bust of Wild Bill right there on your left, same fella. See, Wild Bill will arrive to Deadwood in June of 1876 as everybody comes flooding into town trying to get the gold. Wild Bill set up a camp right about this location. In 1952, we put the statue up to commemorate the fact. And it's been a popular item ever since. Look how big the statue is. Do you believe that thing right there has actually been stolen away from us on no less than 3 separate occasions? And they keep bringing the thing back because it's so heavy to lug around. I put my back up like really bad that last time. We do have a free museum here in town. All right, they'll ask for a donation. Beyond that, something free in a gambling town. Come by and check it all out. Now, the town of Deadwood would get started in January 1876. There's only 3 wagons and 26 people. They called it the Williams-Bryant Party. Now, are you guys familiar with the gold rushes that were actually happening way back when all these people would come into a small area and start buying for gold? You guys remember that gold rush out to California?
Yep.
49. San Francisco, yeah, 49. Give that man a gold star. Well, shortly after that, they discover silver in Nevada. The Comstock Low of the year was 1859. And then, just before the turn of the century, there was a mad rush. North to Alaska. Hollywood makes movies about this event. You know they were singing ballads on the radio to it? Legends are born out of this account, this rush to Alaska. Now this one was called Not the song, the event. This rush to Alaska was called...
No up to Alaska.
Your friends in the back speak English, sir? This rush to Alaska was called the Klondike Rush. The year was 1898. You guys know I'm not talking about ice cream bars right now, don't you? The Klondike Rush? Okay, but did you know that sandwich in between all those dates, I was throwing at you there, 1849 and 59, 98. Well, they found gold right here in Deadwood. The year was 1876 was that Williams Bryant party. Now, there is a difference between us and those other precious metal discoveries. The other ones only last 3 to 20 years. Well, they found gold here in 1876, and you know, they were still digging the gold up here in the year 2001. That's 125 years later. A century and a quarter later, people. It turns out there's a heck of a lot of gold here in these hills. By the way, they say Deadwood is experiencing its second gold rush to hit the town, and that's with this limited legal stakes gambling that is abounding in our city today. All right, now we've got some switchbacks here to maneuver through, but at the top of the hill, our destination awaits Mount Moriah Cemetery, also known as Boot Hill. Anytime you bury a cowboy with his boots on and his head's facing west, you get yourself a boot hill. And it don't matter where it's at. It seems like they got these boot hills in every town in America out west because the fact there's a cowboy buried in there somewhere. We call this Boot Hill because Wild Bill's buried up here in the Cowboy Way. There are 22 known boot hills in America. All right, now, I have to fit my big old wide bus through these skinny gates up here. So what I'm going to do right now is just close my eyes and pray for a moment. You might want to join me. Oh, dear Lord, please. Don't let me hit the gate on the left, the gate on the right, that rock wall in front of me, or the man under the bus. Thank you for getting me through my trials and tribulations this day, Lord. Amen. Open my eyes and whoa. Woo! Got through with flying colors that time. Now, who says prayer doesn't work, huh? You kids know that's pretty good. For me just getting that old license back and everything, don't you? Well, you're now in Mount Moriah Cemetery, a Masonic cemetery established by the Masons back in 1877. Part of the Masonic ritual is that you bury them on a hill west of Moriah. Look it up in Genesis 22 of the Bible. At an elevation of 4,760 feet, covering 15 acres of land, there's over 3,600 people buried here. And they're all dead. Now, 2 signs just appeared on your right. Pauses for you folks up front here. The signs give you the statistics on our 2 most prominent residents, Wild Bill and Clancy James. Reading through the signs, it is interesting to note both individuals are born in the month of May, and they both die in the month of August. Kind of a coincidence right there, wouldn't you say? Now, does that tell you anything? Well, if you're born anytime during the month of May, you probably shouldn't be coming to visit us here during the month of August, people. There's a pattern developing here, folks. And it could be dangerous for you. You have been warned. You know, a lot of people like to write stuff into the astrological implications of all of this. You know how the sun, the moon, the stars, and planets all line up. All that other mumbo-jumbo and gobbledygook. Now, here's my philosophy. Things happen. Live with it. Plain and simple. Short and sweet. Calamity Jane's real name, by the way, was Martha Jane Canary, not the name you see on the sign there. See, that's how I got this job. In 1895, she married a guy from New Jersey, a fellow by the name of Clinton Burke. See, that's the name you see on the marker. Oh, don't be getting her husband, Clinton, mixed up with Wild Bill next to her. No, you see, that would be Wild Bill Clinton. A completely different fella. Oh, come on now. He's famous too and everything. But you know what? We're trying to keep that one under the table. Just like he did. Calamity Jane's born May 1st, 1852 there in Princeton, Missouri. She's also born in Burlington, Iowa, Fort Laramie, Wyoming, and guess what? Salt Lake City, Utah. Did you know all these cities lay claim to her in their histories as well? In case you hear something different. My only explanation on that one is, evidently her mother got around. By the way, if you did the math on the sign back there, she was 51 years old when she passed away. When we get up to the gravesite here, you're going to see a marker that says she was 47. All I can tell you is, don't believe everything written in stone. We're going to park the bus here at the bottom of the rock wall. We're going to follow that gray railing on up to the graves of Wild Bill and Calamity Jane. It's about a 3-mile hike straight uphill. Make sure your tennies are tied, the cameras are loaded, the seats are back in the upright position. We're going to see if the bus will actually stay here this time. There we go.